Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to a brand new season, brand new year of the Entertainment Roundup. I'm J77, and it's been a while since I've done this. The only one I have done in 2013 was the award one, but that was the pre-op for the actual premiere of this Entertainment Roundup. And as usual, Entertainment Roundup will be a collection of stories that I have picked up for the week. In this case, it'll be on a couple of stories that I have done over the past few weeks, even the past half a year, and that's largely because these were very important stories, very important news that has happened. And I will start off with something of some information I want to pass along to you guys, especially if you're a former member or still consider yourself a member of Spill.com. In case you haven't noticed, and I know a lot of people don't know, Corey Coleman, who was the creator of Spill.com, is actually doing a podcast on Cloud. Cloud is a streaming service that streams music as well as podcasts that anybody can use depending on the description of services. Well, he has now been doing this stream, and he's up pretty much now up to, I believe, 5 episodes now, and they're very short, but they're very fun to listen to. It's great to hear Corey and Martin Thomas, and those who don't know who Martin Thomas is, he betrayed Leon in a couple of Cold Ones and also in movie reviews, and so they are still doing this. This is pretty much to keep things going, to keep up to date as to what's going on. The Kickstarter for the new website is still being produced as we speak. So far they still got time, but it looks like they're gonna make it. There was a little bit of worry there, but it's pretty much close to their target mark, and it looks like everything is going to be okay, and we may see that site, which doesn't have a name yet, up very, very soon. Corey have kept us updated on the information based on that. He said if you want some information on that, look for him on Corey Coolman, not Coleman, Coolman, on Twitter, I believe Facebook as well, and also on Cloud. I will leave a link to it below for those who have who want to actually check out the podcast. He have done a couple of them, some longer than others, some shorter than others. I think the shortest one is when his mother has filled in. That was very interesting, but overall, when you hear it, it's almost like hearing him back on Spill. The only thing I can tell you, unfortunately, is don't expect the cast, including Cyrus 3000, co-host 3000, sorry, to actually use their pen names. As you all know, Hollywood.com still maintains the right to Spill.com, and with that being said, they also retain the rights to the names that some of the Spill crew have gotten. So all the names that they had, they can no longer use due to legal issues, and that's kind of expected. That's fine. A lot of people will be all upset by it, but that's something that goes with the territory when someone has a license to that. They may not have the license to the pen name, and I don't think that's going to be hinder them too much as well. I am kind of curious because I haven't heard from co-hosts yet. I may be one of those podcasters. I heard 3 of them right now, so I got to hear about the other one. But a co-host and Cyrus have not joined the podcast just yet. Coleman have said he's going to keep it low budget because they don't have the resources they have to actually blow it up right now. They are doing live streams, but at a fee, very small fee. But that's just pretty much a stint. They can't touch the Kickstarter yet, and they're going to pretty much put that money into the building a new website, and that's what you can pretty much ask for. Just make sure you build the website. So I'm looking forward for this. I can't wait to see how this works out. So for those who are former Spill members, I will leave a link below to see it. You guys can listen to yourself. They have already 1,000+ subscribers. It probably would have been more have people knew about Corey's podcast, and that's something that unfortunately he doesn't have too much resource to spread the word. His only resource he has right now is through word of mouth, which I am doing, his Twitter account, which a lot of people do not have, and through Facebook, which a lot of people seem to be moving away from. So it's really mostly by word of mouth. He is keeping tab of it. He also asked to give them our email, so that way when the site is officially launched, he can send emails to everybody to come join the site, which that is pretty much a smart move. So again, he's keeping us informed through Clout. I will leave a link below. You guys can check it out and support the Spill Crew just in that format. Okay, guys, let's get on to the nitty-gritty here. I'm going to start with the Paul Walker thing because that was a big thing a few months ago that has happened last year. And I'm just going to give you guys an update if you guys don't know, especially if you're fans of the Fast and Furious. Fast and Furious 7, which originally was to come out this year, will not be coming out in 2014. As you guys know, Paul Walker died in a horrific car accident. It shocked the hell out of me. It shocked the hell out of even the fans of the Fast and Furious Fast and Furious series, because especially how the way he died. It is something that I have mentioned. I feel that that Universal may have to postpone this film a year just to pay proper tribute to Paul Walker, especially since they barely had any major scenes made of him. I know they was in the process of filming, but it wasn't like they was actually 50% done. It was just in the process. I think 10% of the film was actually shot when that accident has happened. So there was a lot of stuff that was going around. One of the rumors that was being thrown out there that Paul Walker's brother may finish his scenes. There was also rumors that he would be in the film, but in a different kind of light. One rumor that pretty much makes more sense than anything else is they're going to rewrite the script. Whether or not they will kill him off in the script, or whether or not he will not be in part of the gang, that is a possibility. But from the reports I keep hearing, that they said they're going to keep the scenes with him in it. But either way you see it, they're going to change something, and they're going to need more time to do it. And I'm kind of happy. I have no problem with Universal Studios' decision. I think it's the right decision to actually push back 1 year. It's not a big deal to do that. I think they're doing the right move. I think it gives them more time to properly pay respect to Paul Walker, who, let's be honest, whether you like the series or not, I'm not a big fan of the Fast and Furious series. I'm letting you know that now. But no one can deny how much important he was to the series. He was a star. He was a co-star in one of the primary stars in two. Him and Vin Diesel return for the fourth one, and they pretty much haven't looked back since. So he's definitely one of the big stars, and to disrespect him in any form or way, the fans will take heed of that more so than the critics. And to me, I think them postponing it and doing it right is the best way to do. I think Universal Studios and the people behind Fast 7 will pretty much do justice towards the character that Paul Walker made so famous. Let's be honest, this was his film. He's been in other films before. I've seen him in Bobby Z. I've seen him in other films that he was actually okay in, but let's be honest, Fast and Furious was what made him a star. Fast and Furious is what gave him his recognition. And to me, it's only suiting that the Fast and Furious make sure they do the proper tribute. So my hat's off to Universal for making that decision. It wasn't an easy one, especially when it comes to the budget. But to me, this is not about them postponing the film because they know the film is bad. They want to get more time to convert it in 3D. This is about postponing the film to pay respect to a man who helped build that franchise. And let's be honest, he was definitely one of the major players in building the Fast and the Furious franchise, and that's something that I think that that needs to be credited, even if you're not even a huge fan of the Fast and the Furious series. So that's something I wanted to bring out. That's something I wanted to share with you guys, and deal with that in the process. Now let's get on to the more important news, and this is one of the feature news here. And I was going to talk about this, and everybody has talked about it. Everybody emailed me saying, how come I haven't talked about this? I haven't talked about this story because of one thing. I wanted to see how far this was going to go. I want to see how ridiculous this thing goes. But most importantly, I want to get exactly what was being said and how it was being said, because I wasn't getting a full picture of what the media was saying. I got one media saying that he said all this and that. I have another media who are just basically not saying what he was saying, but saying that it's his freedom of speech and blah, 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 blah. I read the GQ magazine. I read it carefully. I read it firmly. I read what he said in his own words, not what the media is throwing out there, because the media is not really being truthful about a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff was being put to push their own agenda. And after hearing that, and after seeing what was going on, after seeing what A&E have done, I came to my conclusion as this: despite the stuff that I do not agree with, and I'm going to say this right now, I don't agree with Phil Robinson's stance on gays as well as blacks, but I'll cover that in a second. I'm going to say this straight up. Both sides have blown this way out of proportion, and this was ridiculous how this thing got attention. This was more political than it really needed to be, and to me it was just disgusting. I mean, that's the bottom line. I'm just calling it like it is. Forget about the Duck Dynasty situation. Both sides handled this poorly, and both sides, to me, had not made the situation any better. And I got news for you. I didn't see Phil Robinson actually missing an extensive amount of days. In fact, he didn't. The suspension that he went through played no effect in him losing an episode in his show. It did not. In fact, I never once felt that A&E was going to keep him off the show. I felt that A&E, they're going to talk about it. They're going to have their own. They're going to have a meeting. Pretty much going to say, listen, if you don't agree with gays and gay rights, that's fine, but you cannot say it, out loud like that. We have a reputation to keep. Look, if you just apologize, you can half-ass what you want, but you got to say something, and we can move on from there, and you'll be off suspending, and your suspension will be over, and we can start making episodes, so we can start making money off these episodes. That's how I saw that happening. I never once felt he was going to miss a day. I never once felt he was going to miss a day. What I did not expect this to blow up the way it is from all sides, and all sides play political ping pong on this all the way through. Both sides did. So let me just start with the situation here. Let me just start with the first thing here. Phil Robinson, who is from Duck Dynasty, a TV show, Duck Dynasty, I'm sorry, from the TV show, had made some comments about gays and blacks. He doesn't understand why a man can love another man the way a man loves a woman. He pretty much listed, and I say list because that's exactly what he did. He didn't compare gays pretty much to bestiality. More, he's saying that gays is in the same category as bestiality, in the same category as of a man sleeping with another man's wife. Pretty much saying that they're all sins and that will not be accepted in the house of God. Do I agree with what he said? No, I don't. I think that what he was saying is a little bit harsh, but you know what? That's his opinion. I can care less. All right. He is just one of many people who feel this way, and there are some people who think worse of the homosexuality. That's just how it is. I know people myself who really don't feel that way and makes no bones about it. So what he is saying doesn't really surprise me at all. When he said about how blacks not suffering, they were singing the blues and yada yada yada, I will say this and then I'm going to leave it alone. It's hard for any person to see someone suffering the way blacks were when he wasn't segregated, when he wasn't put in chains, when he didn't go through the intimidation and the threat of the Ku Klux Klan, nor did they feel discrimination of any kind. It's kind of hard for someone who never experienced that to know how someone actually went through during those days. And that's the whole thing. He literally had to go through those same hardships that my ancestors have gone through to fully understand it. So do I agree with him on that? Of course I don't agree with him on that. But again, I can't be surprised of what he said, because again, there are a lot of people out there just like him who are worse than what he says and make no bones about how they look at minorities in this country. Says a lot more worse things and even do worse things, to the point where they even pass laws to show just how much they feel about the black community or the minority of the United States. They just don't. And I mean, they are very open about it. So hearing him say that in GQ magazine again doesn't surprise me. What surprised me is that he actually had an interview and GQ actually asked him and he actually responded. I'm also surprised that his PR guy didn't say, be careful when it comes to these issues, because they may actually put this on the table, and you need to know how to go around it, because this may actually come back to bite you. And it did. It came back to bite him. It came back to bite him hard. Am I upset that A&E, do I think A&E was wrong for suspending him indefinitely? I didn't think he should be fired. But I understand completely why A&E suspended him, because A&E knows their demographics. They know who's watching their shows. And it's not just about the Duck Dynasty show. Duck Dynasty show is a small piece of a very larger puzzle. Because what he says not only may have a reflection on the Duck Dynasty, it may not have a reflection on him at all, depending on who wants the show. But the fact is, it's not just his show that's going to have an effect. It's the other shows that A&E has. And if people who hears this, read that magazine and said, how can you have somebody who's racist and speaks about these people, and we're supposed to support your shows and the other shows that comes on your network? No, they have to send a message and say, hey, we don't tolerate this. We have to make a move. Now, again, he was never fired. All right. Yeah, he was suspended, and he was suspended indefinitely, but that was as far as it's going to go. Like I said, I never once felt he was going to stay off the air too long. And guess what? He ain't. He didn't. Nothing had happened affected the episodes that he's supposed to be airing. He had not missed one episode or one taping. So basically, there you go. So I'm not mad at what A&E did. I think they needed to send a message because, hey, it's a PR move for them. They cannot have somebody who represents their company go out and say stuff like that could affect their quota. All right? If their demographic starts dropping because of this, it could hurt them. It could hurt them. So they're looking at the long picture. And that's the thing that I think people need to be aware of. They're looking at the very long picture of this. What pisses me off was the political groups that came at this one story. They blew it up worse than what it actually really was. You have one side saying, how can this guy say this? It's wrong. He should be punished for this. He should be fired from this. You have another group trying to shout freedom of speech. Freedom of religion, he has the right to say it. Back off. You can't keep doing this. I'm gonna say this right now. I'm gonna play devil's advocate. I'm gonna give feedback to both sides here because I think both sides here are full of themselves. I'm keeping it real. Both sides are full of themselves, especially Sarah Palin, who led the charge pretty much, but never once read the whole thing. Never once read the statement. That's very nice, Sarah Palin. You once again proved this how smart you really are. Thank you very much. Let's get this clear right now. I'm going to go with the right side of things. The people who are saying that he should not be prosecuted for saying what he feels that is in his rights. Freedom of speech or freedom of religion. I got one thing to say about this. Freedom of speech does not protect you from getting fired. If that was the case, then a lot of people who have said a lot of stupid things, whether it be by Facebook, Twitter, or in the media, or live on TV, would not have been fired. Perfect example, that reporter from NBC who basically, and I will say this, he was totally out of line for saying what he said about Sarah Palin. And he lost his job for that. He was pretty much forced to resign. Okay? I didn't hear too many people saying that he should not have lost his job for saying, for freedom of speech. In fact, it was the total opposite. Why was he staying on his job? Why haven't they not fired? That's their man. They're responsible. There were people after him. And look again, he was totally out of line for saying what he said. You never say that. I don't even like Sarah Palin as a politician, but I would never want somebody to do what that man had said. That was totally, totally uncalled for and totally unprofessional. And yes, he should have been disciplined. Yes, he should have been suspended. And once he heard he got fired, even though a lot of people were saying that's totally unfair and everything else, hey, look, you can't say stuff like that on television and not expect dire consequences. It's just not going to work that way. At the same time, don't get mad when the same thing happens to one of your guys. And that's the thing that really kills me about Fox, how they, all of a sudden, when this situation happened, they want to shout freedom of speech. You can't shout freedom of speech on that situation. He represents a company, all right? And everybody know what company he represents. So guess what? He said those stuff They're not going to go after Duke Dynasty. They're going to go point out to A&E, and they're going to say, how can you have this man who said all these horrible things about these people on your network? What do you think A&E is going to do? They're going to respond accordingly. And that's exactly what they did. They didn't fire the guy. But the way you make it sound like he did. And to me, again, I go on to say, if freedom of speech was that powerful, a lot of people who said a lot of crazy, uncalled for things would have still kept their job. Even some politicians. That politician who said that lazy blacks, those blacks who are too lazy to get a photo ID because they think that the government should support them, so be it. That man lost his job because of what he said. And it wasn't because people didn't disagree, because he said something that wasn't supposed to be said that put everybody, every Republican in that state at a bad image. And that was the whole thing. And this is no different, right? But he didn't get fired. He got suspended. And you got people trying to shout freedom of religion. I don't want to hear that, okay? Stop hiding over freedom of religion, okay? Because that's not going to fly with me. That's not going to fly with a lot of people. Well, you can say all about freedom of religion all you want. That doesn't give them the right. That doesn't give them the right to be criticized themselves. Okay, what he said was online. Right? I didn't think he should have been fired. I'll tell you right now, I don't think he should be fired. I don't agree with what he said, but you know what? That's his opinion. I don't agree with it. He's not going to change. All right, but I do believe he should have been suspended or at least disciplined in some manner. But fired? No, I didn't think he should have been fired. I'll tell you, I didn't think he should be fired. And despite what everybody says, he shouldn't have been fired. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't think A&E was wrong by suspending him either. And the guys who are saying that, freedom of speech this, and religion is that, you can't hide on that. Stop using that as a shield. Because it's not going to work. Because if that's the case, a lot of people would have kept their jobs. Alec Baldwin would not be... Alec Baldwin would still be working at NBC right now have he not said the stuff he said. I lost his temper. So let's keep it real. Freedom of speech is only good if it works for your best interest. And that's exactly what Fox is. Because when the push came to shove, when that guy said all that stuff about Sarah Palin, they wasn't crying freedom of speech. They was crying, get that man out of the network. He deserved to be fired. That's exactly what they did. So I don't want to hear about that freedom of speech. And please save me the freedom of religious crap, because that's not going to work with me. With that being said, these people who were shouting for him to be fired, and they said that they have to, people need to be forced to accept the new change. You're not immune from criticism. I'm going to let you guys know right now. You guys need to stop trying to force an issue here, because just like the one side is turning people off with their humongous extreme fight against gay rights, you also can turn people on by going too far on the issue. Right? You cannot force someone to change. They'll have to do it themselves. That's pretty much the fact. All right? I do not see Paul Robeson changing on his views anytime soon. In fact, I don't ever see him change on his views. And when he said that he he was going to back down on his views on gays and blacks, I wasn't mad at him. In fact, I respect it. I said, at least he's being real. At least I know where he stands. Now, am I going to watch his shows from now on out? Personally, I wasn't watching his show from the beginning. It didn't bother me. I seen 2 episodes, and that was when my sister was in a hotel room. She had it on. We all watched it, and I'm like, what is this? And I found out who it was, and I saw posters, and I said, oh, it must be a popular show. But it just didn't cater to me. So I had no reason to watch the show. Even when all this stuff has happened, I still had no reason to watch the show. But I know what the show was. I know what he stood for. And after hearing that stuff, and after hearing he wasn't going to back down, I didn't care. Okay, well, he ain't backing down. So be it. That's his opinion. At the same time, those who were probably who he insulted, who probably was watching his show to begin with, they have a choice not to watch the show. They have a choice in that. And that's fine. That's the consequences he's going to have to face. But for me to sit there and force change on him, you can't force change on nobody. Stop trying to force change on everybody. I got news for you. Change is going to happen regardless. It's happening right now. It's slow, but it's happening. Where there's a newer generation of voters. They're younger. They're honestly even less conservative and more open to the fact of homosexuality and the fact that they should have rights. I say open with an asterisk. Doesn't necessarily mean they agree with it. It just means they're more open to it. They may not agree with the lifestyle. They may not agree with the fact that a man and man actually love each other, or a woman and woman actually love each other. But they are more open to the fact that, yeah, they're not, I may not agree with what they say, but you know what? They deserve rights. They deserve the same rights as we have, and I agree. They deserve rights the same as we have. They're not bothering me. They're not, and nor should it be anybody else. But the point is that you got these guys here who feel that every time someone sets something out there, they feel their duty to try and knock them down and try to cost them their job and try to get them disbanded or get them fired. You're only making matters worse. All right? Like I said, there's one thing I do agree with Fox on. The one thing I actually do agree with Fox on. The viewers will decide on the situation. Okay? When he comes on the air, which I think it should be very soon, the viewers will pretty much tell the whole tale. If he still capped a certain amount of viewers, that's fine. If there's a viewers, if the demographic shifts to a one majority viewership and he survives, so be it. If not, so be it too. But the thing is, we should learn from what he has said and basically prove that that's not the case. Okay? That's all I got to say about that. You're not going to change the guy by trying to kick him out of the store of his own TV show. That's never going to happen. First of all, it's his own TV show. The fact that he got suspended from a TV show he created was kind of weird to me. Kind of makes me wonder just how much power that the Robinson family actually has. But again, that's just something for a whole different subject. But the point I'm trying to get here is that you can't keep trying to force the issue aggressively like a lot of people have done. Right? You can't. Because I'll tell you right now, that's turned me off. I said, dude, what are you doing? This is not that big of a deal. Okay? If you really want to send a message, don't watch his show. Just like what happened a few months ago with this folk leader, which I didn't even know who she was. She said some very crazy stuff, and people responded by saying, okay, we will not buy your tickets anymore. To the point where she was forced to make an apology. She went on, I believe Nicole Sander actually tried to interview her. She tried to explain herself through Twitter. Believe me when I say that. They'll come around quick when they realize who exactly was supporting their show. That's the fact. This is the same reason why A&E was not in the wrong. They know who wants their shows. They're not stupid. They know they have power. They know they have clout. But at the same time, don't get it twisted here. It is not your job to force the agenda the way you guys are doing. And if you think your idea of forcing the agenda by getting people fired, I got news for you. All you're going to do is create even more friction. And that's the thing I'm having a problem with. Because for the last few weeks, I saw nothing but a political circus. Which Phil, who did start this circus to begin with, actually be in the middle. And A&E caught in the middle of this mess. And to me, it solved nothing. Because in the end, what happened? A&E talked to them. A&E, as they said, to make an apology. Whether you agree with the apology being legitimate or not, really not the point. He apologized. They said, okay, he didn't mean it in a way to hurt anybody or to hurt or to conflict, harm anyone. Let's move on. And you know what? That was probably going to happen regardless. It was going to happen regardless. So all this political bickering, all it was a way to boost a political agenda. And to me, that was unnecessary. It was uncalled for. And no one came out shining in that. No one. Not the news media on one side who was saying that he should have been fired. Not the right-wingers or Republicans who said, oh, this is religious practice. He's the attack his religious belief and their freedom of speech. No one came out good. The only thing it tells me is that freedom of speech to a lot of these people is only as good if it works for their own agenda. No more, no less. because those same people was bitching and moaning about Phil Robertson freedom of practice religion and his freedom of speech to think his mind. They wasn't saying that too much when somebody else attacks them, when somebody else criticized them. No, they don't want to hear about freedom of speech. They don't want to hear that. They want to hear, get this guy off the radio station. What he did was uncalled for. How can he keep his job? You don't notice, you don't hear about freedom of speech then, because it's not in their agenda. You attack their people. It's only when their people say something when they put the freedom of speech card out there. So in my opinion, if you're going to play the freedom of speech card, make sure you're consistent, which a lot of people, these guys aren't. They're not. And with that being said, I'm going to move on to the situation. I will leave a link to some of the articles there so you guys can look at yourself. Like I said, it's really not much to say other than what I said already. To me, this whole thing would have been resolved probably sooner than later. But no, we have to see the political football game played. And look, I never once thought A&E was going to keep him out for a long period of time where he's going to lose episodes. It was just something that they needed, a PR move. They made that PR move. I know that Phil Richardson was on the air. He didn't say much about it. He actually played nice. He's being very careful what he says right now. But after seeing a report about Phil Richardson and allegedly saying you should marry teenage girls because teenage girls ain't looking for money, I don't know if he was joking or not. I seen the video that the Young Turks have. This is not a surprise. This is being circulated around. And the only reason why I have not talked about it because I gotta look at it again and actually analyze it more better. I don't want to say something that may not be true, but don't be surprised if you see a lot more of these stories pop out, because right now, because of his comments, there are people who are looking to get him. It's unfortunate, and I say that for a reason, because a lot of people, despite my views, like I said again, I don't agree what he is saying, but you have a lot of vengeful people who will do anything to discredit the man even more than what it is. And believe me when I say this, he's going to be a target for a lot of people who wants to make an example out of him. And he needs to be very, very careful. He's already know that no matter what any interview he has, whether it's for TV, a news station, or a magazine, every word is going to be looked at on the microscope, and he needs to be very, very careful. He needs to have a better PR guy, in my opinion, to make sure that the stuff he said will not offend anybody, because that's the main thing. And that's the thing that always kind of bugged me out. I would think that a PR guy would tell him, be careful, try not to go this route, try not to say what you got to say here. And this also leads to another thing. How did that question came about in the first place? Why did GQ feel compelled to ask them that question? I'm kind of curious of that. Did they knew something that ahead of time that even Phil didn't realize, and he didn't think nothing of it? I'm kind of wondering about that. I really am, because I was like, why would GQ even ask that question? Why was that even brought up? But it was brought up, and it was used against him. And he's a celebrity. So, yeah, he's going to be used against more than anybody else. And again, I can't get too upset with him for one reason. I don't agree with him. But you know what? He's not the only one that's saying it. The only reason why he gets caught out there because he's a celebrity. There are people who I know who says stuff like this all the time. And I always debate with them in a respectful manner, but they have their reasons. And you know what? I'm not going to change these people. I can't change them. They already had their mind, already have their views. I only tell them, like, look, okay, you don't like it, fine. Don't go out there beating these people up. They say, oh, no, that's not the case. I'm just telling you that I don't believe in that lifestyle. I will never understand that lifestyle, and I don't feel I should be forced to like something. And I always tell them, you're not trying to make you be forced to like something. But at the same time, it's not my job to judge someone. It's not my job to try and stop them for having the same freedoms that a lot of married couples have. I didn't like when I heard my answer was discriminated on. I don't like racism now. Why should I inflict it on these people? They haven't done anything to me. They're taxpayers like anybody else. And to me, having these laws trying to discriminate on them really doesn't make any sense. It doesn't even add up. I know a lot of arguments that's being thrown out there about Adam and Steve and Adam and Eve, and they say it's about choice. and I always say like this: if it's about choice and that's their decision to make, why are you making a big fuss of it? That's their choice, not yours. So why are you so bent out of shape out of it? What is it about that? And I always bring that question up because it's more about something that makes them uncomfortable. They're very uncomfortable seeing two men embracing each other in public, and it makes them unease. And I always say, just admit it to me. You just don't want to see that in public view. I'm being realistic. They don't want to see it in public view, and they will never understand it, and that's fine. But to me, what hits me is when you put that into violence, and that's something that I cannot accept at all. All right, you may not agree with the lifestyle, but don't go and result into beating somebody up because of their sexual preferences, making harassments, bullying, discriminating them in many ways, shape, or form, including on the job. Because now you're going too far. Now you're going beyond your personal opinions, and that's the thing. A lot of these guys who come out and open don't seem to understand that. A lot of people take it as if, wait a minute, this guy just threatened us. And to me, that's not what Phil Robinson did. I didn't see it as a threat. I'm keeping it around. I didn't see him trying to say they should go out and shoot people. He never said that they are going to be a decimation to the world, and you can't accept this under any circumstances. He just said he just didn't understand why a man will love a man, and he brung a list of things he considered to be sins, which a lot of media have blown up as saying he's comparing it to bestiality. My. What an interesting month and a half for the Dynasties crew. But again, I'm going a little bit too much on that. I'm just going to move on. I will leave a link, and I'm moving on to the next scene here, which is the last story I'm going to be talking about. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. It's something that I want to talk about in general. I mentioned this in a single thing here, in a single video, but I'm going to mention it again. It's about the Whitney Houston thing. Scratch at the Beyonce. I don't know why I had Whitney Houston on my head for a minute, but Beyonce in this situation. Look, I said this before and I say it again. I don't think Beyonce's intent was to disrespect the people from the late astronauts who died on that Challenger explosion. I really don't think that was her intent. Should she have thought this thing through before taking a sample? Yes. But do I think people should not make it more worse than what it already is? I think the criticism, in my opinion, was way overblown. I'm not saying any disrespect towards the family. I understand why they're upset. That image of seeing what they saw, because I saw it when I was a kid when I went home. Again, I said this before, I've said it again. People talked about this. They mentioned this, and they have brought this up to a lot of attentions. And to me, it was a very weird thing because the teachers forgot to actually teach it that day. And it was only until after I went home and I saw the news report that I realized something bad has happened. I was young, and I realized something bad has happened. But this is how much of an impact it is. So I understand that will never leave the minds of their loved ones. That is still yesterday. That is still happening at the very moment. So having that sample on that album, I don't think that she meant to do it again, but I think that it was something that it probably wasn't the best interest of doing. But again, it is something that's going to be pretty much talked about for a while, and I'm kind of curious if whether or not they're going to recall or actually, for the second version, remove that sample just to avoid any further controversy. I haven't seen any article yet. Jay-Z's not saying anything, and I don't expect him to say anything else. I think Beyonce's handling it herself very well. Our publishers didn't really comment too much about it. I didn't expect that to be the issue. But it is something that is, being thrown out there that's that Beyonce has disrespected, and how dare she do that. Look, sampling has become something that Hollywood's done constantly. Movie directors does it from time to time. musicians constantly sample other people's work. They have to actually sample stuff that has happened. I know Living Color have done sampling of JFK's "Ask Not What You Can Do for You, but What You Can Do for Your Country." That's something that everybody does. The sampling is nothing new. So hearing that she sampled this didn't surprise me, but when you listen to it, when you think about it, yeah, if I was a person who lost a loved one on that ship, and I got to put myself on the views of the family, yeah, I can see how that can touch a nerve. And to me, that's where that originally came from. But I don't think they should be blown this out of proportion. I really don't. I just think if all worst come to worst, they probably will just remove it from the album. They probably, when the second version hits, you probably won't even hear it from that album, and that's probably what's eventually might want to happen. It may not happen. It all depends on how deep this goes. But I think that for the most part, I think that if you ask me, I don't think Beyonce was trying to be disrespectful. I really don't. I just think she thought it was a good idea to sample this to as part of what the overall theme of our song was, and it just didn't vote well for a lot of people. And now she knows. And believe me, she will definitely take that into account in future tracks when she wants to sample something. But to me, I honestly don't think she did it in spite. I think a lot of people are saying she did that to be disrespectful. I don't think that was ever the case at all. I just think it was just blown out of proportion. And that's all I'm going to say about the matter here, guys. So, again, as usual, if you guys have any comments on what I just said, be more than happy to put it down in the comment section. I'd like to hear your views on it. But most importantly, I'd like to hear your Duck Dynasty situation, because that's the main thing I actually wanted to talk about. That's the main thing I wanted to really bring up. And believe me when I say this, I was about to do this as a standalone audio time topic, but I felt this is something worthy of the entertainment roundup, something to open up with, because I've seen this a lot with stars. I've seen this a lot happening, what's going on. More so just people of power, that they say stuff without thinking, without actually thinking, and it ends up with terrible results. And you hear it all the time with a lot of people saying shout at freedom of speech and freedom of religion, and I'm keep saying that doesn't apply to certain situations. Freedom of speech is you fear of not being prosecuted by the law. I cannot get arrested for saying the president is an idiot, or Sarah Palin is an idiot, or any of the people in Fox News. I cannot get prosecuted for that. That does not mean if I say something that endangers the public relations of a company that they don't have the right to fire me. That's just ludicrous. They have that right. And I say it again, if that was the case, then a lot of people who have said some dumb things, some hateful racial things, will still be in a job right now. And a lot of these guys over the last year, especially this lady who has said probably the most dumbest thing on Twitter I've ever have to read, saying that I hope she won't get AIDS, just joking, I'm white, and you're going to the same country you just insulted, and you post it on Twitter. And I probably know what our logic is. Oh, yeah, I don't got too many people on Twitter. That's not going to make too much difference. I'm only joking anyway, you'll see. And it just takes one popular tweet to go as wildfire. So somebody can retweet. And next thing you know, you got reporters knocking on your door hearing what you said. And she lost her job for that. And the reason why she lost her job for that was because she was working that involves peer relations. How the hell are you going to be in peer relations when you make comments like that, making herself look bad as well as the company? Come on now. Even her father was like, what are you doing? I mean, this is the thing I want to make it clear. They have a right to fire her for that. The simple fact is she made the company look bad. She is a PR. She should not have to be reminded what to say and not to say, especially on the World Wide Web. And that goes the same with anybody else. A lot of people lost their job, lost their livelihood because of dumb things they say on the World Wide Web, and they don't think. Even teenagers were forced to transfer schools, not only because of what they said, but because of their own safety. I don't know, remember a few years ago, 2 teenagers basically insulted their entire school classmates on YouTube. I actually got that on one of my must-watch lists right now. It's still there. I never took it down. And they basically said the N-word and said about all this other stuff. And not thinking that this was going to hit viral, which they did say, I didn't think it was going that far. If you put it out there and you click upload and it's already on the screen, chances are people are going to wonder and say, oh, what's this? Oh, wait, you got to see this. And what happened? The school got wind of it and they expelled them. Why? Because they know perfectly well if they go in that school, there'll be a whole bunch of people waiting for them. They made threats on the cops, and these same cops were the ones protecting them. So they didn't do themselves any favor. And no, I don't believe they should get death threats, which they've gotten. But the point is, you have to be responsible. You have to be aware of what you're saying. And what happened was what these girls were saying, which, by the way, some of them were Spanish and half black themselves, had pretty blown out of the wet works. And as a result, they had to deal with the consequence, which led them to be expelled and transferred to a different school. What do you expect was going to happen? And that's the thing about it. And this idea that freedom of speech shields you from termination of your job, I'm sorry, that doesn't. It just doesn't. For another perfect example, a teacher went on Facebook, said to the class about a bunch of monkeys. You think she thinks she got a job now? No. I mean, we gotta think. I mean, people sometimes when they talk with emotion that gets them into more trouble than what it's worth. Alex Baldwin, think he's a great actor, love his stuff, but let's be honest, his temper got the better of him, and it finally to the point where he got released from MSNBC because of a gay comment he made, a gay slur. Come on now. Again, freedom of speech can only take you so far, and then it will land you in trouble. So please spare me that freedom of speech crap, because it's not going to work with me. I know freedom of speech pretty much says that you cannot be prosecuted by the law for saying what you said. That's not saying mean you cannot get terminated by a job. I'm sorry, it doesn't. Same thing with religion. People use that as a shield to discriminate against people, or to shield themselves for saying dumb things and thinking nobody is going to terminate them because my religious practice prevents me from getting terminated. It protects me under that right. No, freedom of religion protects you from being prosecuted by the government. You cannot get prosecuted by practicing another religion, whether it's Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, Judaism. That's what it is. You can practice their religion and more. It's a whole lot of them that you probably never heard of, without having fear of being prosecuted for practicing that religion. That does not shield you from trying to exercise discrimination on another human being, whether they're black or white or sexual preferences, and it damn sure doesn't shield you from getting terminated from your job. It just doesn't. It doesn't. But that's a story for another time. Until then, I've already spoke for 48 minutes. I think it's time to hang this up. So again, as always, comments below. If you agree, disagree, that's cool. Just give me a reason why. And until then, J77 saying take care, be safe. I'll talk to you soon.